Before anything else, there was this one single thought. This is it. This is the very first line of Tolkien's entire creation myth, and it's where the grand story of Middle-earth really begins.
So today, we're going way, way back. I'm talking before the ages of the world, before the sun and the moon, to a time of pure thought and sound. We are diving deep into the cosmic origin story from Tolkien's legendarium, the Ainulindalë, which literally means the music of the Ainur.
Now, think about most creation stories. You usually imagine a big bang, right? Or some kind of physical act. Well, in Tolkien's world, the beginning of everything, it wasn't an act. It was a song, a divine, incredible symphony that would literally sing a universe into existence.
So, who were the singers in this cosmic orchestra? They were the Ainur. As you can see, they're called the Holy Ones, basically these powerful angelic spirits born directly from the mind of the one creator, Ilúvatar. And what's so fascinating is that each Ainur was like a single instrument. They only understood their one part of the melody, the small piece of Ilúvatar's grand design that they came from.
Okay, so this great music, it unfolds in three big movements. First, you have Ilúvatar's theme. It's beautiful, it's perfect, a harmonious vision of what creation could be. But then, there's dissonance. Melkor, who is the most powerful of all the Ainur, decides he has better ideas. He starts weaving in his own proud, clashing notes, and it creates this literal war of sound. But here's the absolute genius of it all. Ilúvatar doesn't just silence him. Instead, he introduces new themes that are even grander, themes that take Melkor's chaos and absorb it, turning the conflict itself into something deeper and more beautiful. And Ilúvatar's words to Melkor here, they are just incredible. He's essentially saying, go ahead, try whatever you want. Every theme you can possibly imagine has its ultimate source in me, and even your rebellion will just end up being an instrument I use to create things even more wonderful than you can conceive. It's this core idea that even evil, even chaos, ultimately serves a higher purpose in the grand design.
Once the music finally comes to an end, Ilúvatar does something amazing. He stops the sound, and then he transforms it into a vision. For the first time, the Ainur can actually see the world that their music had just imagined. It's no longer just an abstract symphony, it's a tangible, visible preview of reality.
And then we get the final, divine command. Ilúvatar takes that vision and gives it true life, its own independent existence. He sends the imperishable flame, the secret fire of creation, down into the void. And with one single powerful elvish word, Ea, which means let it be, the universe, the world that is, springs into being.
All right, the universe has been created. The stage is set, and many of the greatest Ainur who had fallen so deeply in love with this new world, they decide to take the next step. They choose to descend into it, to become a part of it, to help shape and guide it into the glorious vision they had all seen.
These mighty Ainur who entered the world became known as the Valar, the powers of Arda. You can think of them less like gods and more like archangelic guardians or architects. You've got the chief ones like Manwe, the king, the lord of the winds and sky. There's Ulmo, the solitary and powerful lord of the waters. You've got Alle, the smith, the great maker and craftsman. And Varda, the star-kindler, who the elves would come to love above all others. They were the main forces of order in this brand new world.
But of course, Melkor also came down into Arda. And that musical dissonance from before, it immediately became a physical war. You can see the brutal pattern right here. For every creative act the Valar performed, Melkor brought destruction. They'd create beautiful lands, he'd smash them. They'd carve gentle valleys, he'd violently heave them upwards. It was a constant, relentless struggle between creation and unmaking from the very beginning.
But despite all of Melkor's efforts, the Valar eventually started to gain the upper hand. And for a brief, beautiful, idyllic age, their original vision for the world finally came to be, in a period of almost unbelievable peace and perfection.
This amazing era is known as the Spring of Arda. The Valar settled right in the center of the world, on the Isle of Almaren. And life, which had been planted by the Vala Yavanna, just exploded across the land. It was a perfect, symmetrical paradise. So how was this perfect new world lit? Get this, Alú, the great smith, forged 2 gigantic lamps. And I mean gigantic. They were set upon pillars so tall they dwarfed any mountain we've ever known. One stood in the north, the other in the south, and together their light bathed the entire world in a perpetual blissful day.
And for a little while, everything was perfect. The Valar's hard work had paid off, creating a world of such harmony and beauty that even they were in awe of it. But as we know, that original discord, that evil note from the music, it wasn't gone. It was just hiding, biding its time.
And this is where the story takes its first tragic turn. While the Valar were celebrating their new world, Melkor, the source of all that original chaos, was secretly plotting in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to shatter the harmony.
Way up in the frozen north, deep beneath the mountains, Melkor secretly built his first great fortress, Utumno, and from this hidden stronghold, his malice began to seep out like a poison, corrupting the new life of the world and twisting it into monstrous shapes.
The end came so fast, it was catastrophic. You can see the timeline here. The Valar are all gathered for a feast, completely unaware of the threat looming in the north. That's when Melkor makes his move. He storms out of Utumno and strikes at the two lamps. He topples the massive pillars and smashes the lamps themselves, unleashing a global cataclysm of fire and flood.
And here's the absolutely crucial part. This wasn't just a battle. It was a world-changing event. The original, perfect symmetry of Arda was broken, forever. The very shape of the continents and the seas was violently and permanently disfigured.
With their home on Almaren utterly destroyed and their grand design ruined, the Valar essentially retreated. They left the main continent of Middle-earth and sailed to the far west, where they created a new, heavily fortified realm called Aman, the Undying Lands. And for a very long time, Middle-earth was simply abandoned to darkness and to the rule of Melkor.
And this is what sets the stage for everything to come. The world is now broken. Its guardians have gone into exile. And into this darkness, the children of Iluvatar, that is, elves and men, are destined to awaken. It leaves us with this huge, critical question. What hope could there possibly be in a world where the shadow fell long before the very first sunrise?